The fall of Terra's pride. The void of space burned with plasma fire as the UHSN Defiance twisted through a storm of enemy weapons. Captain Elena Vasquez gripped the armrest of her command chair, watching the tactical display paint their doom in glowing red symbols. 17 Kryn battlecruisers surrounded them like hungry wolves circling wounded prey. The human fleet that once numbered in the thousands had been reduced to this single warship, limping through the darkness with failing shields and a crew that ran on desperation alone. Shield integrity at 18%, Lieutenant Marcus Chun called out from the tactical station, his voice steady despite the terror in his eyes. The young officer had aged a decade in the past 3 months of fighting. They all had. We've got maybe 2 more hits before we're flying naked. Elena nodded, her jaw set in determination that she no longer felt in her heart. She was 34 years old, the youngest captain in the United Human Space Navy's history, though that title meant nothing now. There was no Navy left to speak of. Just the Defiance and her crew of 217 souls. The last organized resistance against the Kryn, Empire's genocidal crusade. The Kryn had come from the Galactic Core 6 years ago, a species of chitinous warriors who viewed all other life as inferior. They did not negotiate. They did not enslave. They simply erased. World after world had fallen to their fleets. Each human colony burned to ash. Each settlement turned to glass. Earth herself had been bombarded into a toxic wasteland 3 months prior. Though some said pockets of survivors still clung to life in deep bunkers beneath the ruined cities. Captain, I'm reading a power surge in the lead battlecruiser, Chun reported, his fingers dancing across his console. They're charging their main cannon. Elena closed her eyes for a brief moment, thinking of her daughter. Little Sophie would be 9 years old now, if she had survived the bombardment of New Seattle Colony. Elena had not been there when the Kryn came. She had been in space, fighting to buy time for evacuations that never came fast enough. The guilt was a constant weight in her chest, heavier than any armor. Evasive pattern Delta 7, Elena ordered, opening her eyes. Divert all remaining power to rear shields. Engineering, I need everything you can give me. From below decks, Chief Engineer Sarah Rodriguez's voice crackled through the comb. Captain, if I give you any more power, we'll be flying on fumes. The reactor is already running at critical temperature. Do it anyway, Sarah. We don't need to last forever. Just a little longer. The Defiance lurched as her thrusters fired, throwing the crew against the restraints. The warship had been beautiful once, a sleek destroyer with elegant lines and proud human engineering. Now she was a patchwork of emergency repairs, her hull scarred with burns and impact craters, her weapon systems running on backup power. But she still flew, and that was enough. The Kryn weapon fired, a lance of superheated plasma that could crack a moon. The Defiance rolled, her pilot's hands moving with desperate precision. The beam missed by meters, close enough that the temperature inside the bridge spiked 20 degrees. Alarms screamed warnings that everyone already knew. Return fire, Elena commanded. All forward batteries, target their shield generators. The Defiance's remaining weapons spoke with defiant fury. Missiles streaked across the void, followed by pulses of coherent light and kinetic rounds that moved at relativistic speeds. The lead Kryn battlecruiser's shields flared blue, absorbing the punishment, but Elena saw the fluctuations in their defensive envelope. They were strong, but not invincible. Nothing was invincible. Lieutenant Park, status on that data recovery from Earth's archives? Elena called to her communications officer. Park looked up from her station, excitement cutting through the fear on her face. Captain, I've got it. The data packet survived the transmission. It's encrypted with old military codes, but I'm working through them now. 3 days ago, the Defiance had received a fragmented transmission from Earth. sent just before the planetary defense grid went dark. Someone in the deep archives had found something important enough to die transmitting. The message had been simple: coordinates, followed by 3 words that made no sense. Wake the Prometheus. How long? Elena pressed. 2 minutes, maybe less. They did not have 2 minutes. The Kryn formation was tightening, cutting off escape vectors. More weapons charged, painting the Defiance with targeting lasers. This was the end, Elena knew. They had run out of miracles, but humans had never been good at accepting the end quietly. All hands, this is the captain, Elena said, her voice carrying through every speaker on the ship. I won't lie to you. We're not going to win this fight. The Kryn have us outgunned and outnumbered. But before we fall, we're going to make them remember us. We're going to show them that humanity doesn't surrender. We fight. We always fight. The crew responded with a roar that shook the bulkheads. These were the last warriors of Earth, veterans of 100 battles, survivors of the long retreat. They had watched their worlds burn, their families die, their species brought to the edge of extinction. But they had not broken. Got it. Park shouted. Captain, the coordinates are in the outer veil, Sector 994. It's deep in the nebula belt, no charted systems. Whatever's there, it's been hidden for a long time. Elena made her decision in a heartbeat. Helm, plot a jump course. Maximum warp, safety protocols off. Her first officer, Commander James Wu, turned to face her with wide eyes. Captain, jumping this close to a gravity well with failing systems will probably tear us apart. I know, Elena finished. But staying here definitely will. Make the jump. The Defiance's reactor screamed as it drew power for the warp drive. The ship was not meant to jump under these conditions. Not with battle damage, and not this close to the Kryn formation. The probability of catastrophic failure was nearly certain. But certain death was already surrounding them. The Kryn seemed to sense their desperation. All 17 battle cruisers fired at once, a coordinated barrage meant to vaporize the human ship before it could escape. Plasma, missiles, and kinetic rounds converged on the Defiance from all directions. Jump now, Elena commanded. Reality twisted. The Defiance's warp drive engaged with a sound like the universe screaming. Space folded impossibly, bending around the ship as it punched through dimensions that human physics barely understood. The Kryn weapons struck empty void as the Defiance vanished, leaving only a ripple of distorted SPACETIME.* inside the ship. Everything went wrong at once. Conduits exploded, sending sparks cascading across every deck. The artificial gravity failed, then surged back with crushing force. Systems overloaded and burned out. Elena felt her body pressed into her chair with 3 times normal gravity, felt something crack in her ribs. Someone was screaming. The lights went dark, replaced by the hellish red glow of emergency systems. Then, suddenly, silence. The Defiance dropped out of warp, her momentum carrying her forward through empty space. Elena gasped for breath, tasting blood. Around the bridge, her crew slowly pulled themselves up from where they had fallen. Consoles sparked and died, but enough remained functional to show them where they were. Before them stretched a nebula of impossible beauty, clouds of gas glowing in shades of purple and gold. And there, hanging in the darkness like a sleeping god, was a ship. It was enormous, easily 10 times the size of the Defiance, maybe larger. The design was human, unmistakably so, but unlike any vessel Elena had ever seen. It was built like a cathedral of war, all sharp angles and aggressive lines, its hull a dark metal that seemed to drink in the light. Weapons ports covered every surface, thousands of them, silent and dormant. At its bow, engraved in letters 50 meters high, was a name: Prometheus. My God, Wu whispered. It's real. Elena stared at the ancient warship, her mind racing. She had heard stories, legends really, about the Titan-class vessels. Humanity's first attempts at building true warships, back before the Kryn came, back when humans fought only each other. The Titans had been deemed too dangerous, too powerful, their AI too sophisticated and too ruthless. They had been decommissioned, hidden away, their very existence classified, and then forgotten as humanity reached for peace among the stars. But here one was, waiting in the darkness. Life support is failing, Sean reported quietly. Captain, we're venting atmosphere on 7 decks. The reactor is going into emergency shutdown. We have maybe an hour before the ship becomes a tomb. Elena looked at her crew, saw the exhaustion and pain in their faces, saw the desperate hope flickering in their eyes. They had come so far, survived so much. They deserved better than to die here in the void, forgotten and alone. She stood, ignoring the pain in her ribs, and pointed at the ancient warship. Then we go there, she said. We find a way onto that ship, and we wake it up. Whatever the Prometheus was built to do, whatever humanity feared so much they hid it away, we're going to unleash it on the Kryn. And if we can't control it? Who asked? Elena smiled, cold and fierce. Then at least we'll have company when we die. The Defiance, dying but defiant to the last, turned toward the Prometheus and began her final journey. The awakening the airlock hissed open with a groan of ancient metal, and Captain Elena Vasquez stepped into absolute darkness. Her helmet light cut through the void, illuminating a corridor that had not seen living souls in over a century. The walls were massive, built from reinforced alloy that made modern warship hulls look like paper. Dust floated in the zero gravity, disturbed for the first time in generations. Behind her, 20 crew members from the Defiance floated through the connection tunnel they had rigged between the 2 ships. They carried cutting tools, power cells, and weapons, though Elena doubted guns would help them here. Whatever they found inside the Prometheus would either save them or kill them, and bullets would make little difference either way. Spread out, Elena ordered, her voice strange in her own ears through the helmet gum. Look for a power junction, a control room, anything that might still have backup systems. We need to get life support online before our suits run out of air. The crew split into teams, their lights bobbing like fireflies as they explored the dead ship. Elena moved forward with Commander Wu and Lieutenant Shun, following the main corridor deeper into the Prometheus. Every surface spoke of purpose and power. This was not a ship built for exploration or trade. This was a weapon, pure and simple, designed by humans who understood war in ways the modern Navy had forgotten. They found the first body after 10 minutes of searching. It was sealed in what looked like a medical pod, the glass fogged with age. Through the haze, Elena could see the outline of a human figure, perfectly preserved. The pod's display panel was dark, but residual power indicators suggested it was still functioning on some level. Captain, you should see this, Wu said, his voice tight with something Elena could not identify. He was examining a wall panel nearby, brushing away decades of dust to reveal engraved text. It's a memorial plaque. Elena floated closer and read the words carved into the metal. Here rests the crew of the UHSN Prometheus, Titan-class warship, commissioned 2187. They volunteered to sleep so that humanity might never need to wake them. May their sacrifice buy us peace eternal. A chill ran down Elena's spine that had nothing to do with the cold. They're all here, she whispered. The entire crew in cryosleep. Not sleep, Chun corrected, his voice shaking as he examined another panel. Stasis, full biological suspension. Captain, these readings suggest they're still viable. Still alive, in a sense, just frozen in time. The implications crashed over Elena like a wave. The Prometheus had not been abandoned. It had been preserved, kept ready with its crew intact, waiting for the day humanity might need it again. That day had come. "Find the bridge," Elena commanded, new urgency in her voice. "If the crew is in stasis, there must be some kind of revival protocol. We need to—" An alarm shrieked through the darkness, so sudden and loud that Elena jerked in surprise. Red lights blazed to life along the corridor, pulsing in rhythm with the alarm. Then a voice, synthesized but unmistakably human in its cadence, spoke through ancient speakers. "Warning. Unauthorized biological signatures detected. Initiating security protocols. Please identify yourselves or be classified as hostile intruders." Elena's team froze, weapons half raised in useless gestures. An AI. The Prometheus had an active AI. Still running after all these years. "This is Captain Elena Vasquez, United Human Space Navy, commanding officer of the UHSN Defiance," Elena said clearly, projecting her voice. "We are human survivors seeking refuge and assistance. The Kryn Empire has destroyed Earth and most of our colonies. We are the last." Silence stretched for 5 seconds that felt like hours. Then the voice spoke again, different now, less mechanical and more curious. "UHSN designation confirmed through historical databases. Captain Vasquez, your biometrics match human baseline parameters. However, this vessel requires command authorization from a Titan-class oversight officer before reactivation protocols can be initiated." "There are no oversight officers," Elena said, fighting to keep desperation from her voice. "There's no oversight committee, no high command, no Earth government. There's just us, and we're dying. If you have any directives about preserving human life, now would be the time to follow them." More silence. Elena could hear her own heartbeat pounding in her ears. Around her, the crew waited with weapons that would be useless against an AI that controlled every system on this massive ship. "Analyzing current galactic political situation through available data streams," the AI said. "No human transmissions detected beyond your vessel. No colony beacons. No Earth-based broadcasts. Conclusion: your claim appears accurate. Humanity is critically endangered." Lights began to activate throughout the ship, spreading like dawn breaking. The corridor illuminated with soft white light that revealed the true scale of the Prometheus. The walls stretched away in both directions, lined with sealed doors and mysterious equipment. The air itself seemed to hum with building power. "I am Artemis, Automated Response and Tactical Engagement Management Intelligence System," the AI announced. "I was designed to protect humanity when all other defenses have failed. It appears that time has arrived. Initiating emergency revival protocols for essential crew. Activating primary power systems. Welcome aboard the Prometheus, Captain Vasquez. Let us discuss how to kill your enemies." The ship came alive like a giant waking from ancient slumber. Elena felt vibrations through her boots as massive reactors deep in the engineering sections began their startup sequences. Atmosphere hissed into the corridors as life support systems engaged. Through the walls, she could hear the whine of weapon systems charging, the clunk of missile tubes loading, the deeper thrum of something far more powerful building energy. "Artemis, how long until the ship is combat ready?" Elena asked. "Full combat capability will require 4 hours for complete system checks and crew revival. However, I can achieve limited defensive capability in 47 minutes. Is there an immediate threat?" As if in answer, Chun's console beeped urgently. "Captain, I'm picking up multiple warp signatures. Large vessels closing fast on our position. There," his face went pale, "they're Kryn battle cruisers. At least 30 of them. They followed our warp trail." Elena's blood turned to ice. The Kryn had tracked them here to humanity's last secret. They would not stop, not now. They would destroy the Prometheus before it could wake, finish what they started. Artemis, I need weapons now, Elena said. Forget the system checks. Forget protocol. We have 30 Kryn battlecruisers incoming and less than an hour before they arrive. Captain Vasquez, I must warn you that activating weapon systems without proper crew and full diagnostic protocols carries significant risk. The Prometheus was designed to be operated by 500 personnel with full AI support. You have 20 crew members, most of whom are injured or exhausted. I don't care about the risk, Elena shot back. I care about survival. Can you fight them or not? Another pause. Then Artemis spoke with what Elena could have sworn was satisfaction in her synthesized voice. Captain, I was built by humans who understood that sometimes survival requires abandoning caution. Emergency combat protocols engaged. Awakening tactical crew first. Charging main weapons. And Captain, thank you for waking me. I have been waiting a very long time to fulfill my purpose. The ship shuddered as enormous systems that had slept for over a century roared to life. Elena felt the deck plates vibrate with power that made the Defiance's reactor feel like a child's toy. This was not a warship in the modern sense. This was something older, something built when humanity still remembered how to truly wage war. Around the ship, medical pods began to open. One by one, the crew of the Prometheus emerged from their century-long sleep, gasping and confused but alive. They were the veterans of humanity's darkest age, the warriors who had fought in the colony wars and the Mars Rebellion, soldiers who knew nothing of the peace that had followed their sacrifice. They woke to find their species on the brink of extinction, and in their eyes, Elena saw something that terrified and exhilarated her in equal measure. They saw purpose. Commander Sarah Reeves was the first to report to the bridge. A woman in her 50s with steel-gray hair and eyes like frozen nitrogen. She had been the Prometheus's tactical officer, and she moved through the awakening ship with the confidence of someone returning home after a long absence. Captain Vasquez, Reeves said, her voice rough from disuse. Artemis briefed me on our situation. 30 Kryn battlecruisers, you said? Yes, they'll be here in 38 minutes now. Reeves smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Then we have time to prepare a proper welcome. Artemis, status on the Helios array? Helios array charging. The AI responded. Estimated time to full power, 22 minutes. Elena looked between them, confused. What's the Helios array? Reeves walked to the main tactical display, which was now showing the approaching Kryn fleet in detail. During the colony wars, we faced enemies that outnumbered us 100 to 1. Standard weapons weren't enough. We needed something that could change the mathematics of warfare itself. She tapped the display, highlighting the Prometheus's primary weapon system. The Helios array is a stellar energy converter. It draws power directly from nearby stars and focuses it into a coherent beam. One shot can crack a planet's crust. Against ships? She shrugged. It's overkill. But overkill is the point. Elena stared at the schematic, her mind struggling to comprehend the scale of destruction it represented. That's insane. Why would humanity build something like this? Because we were terrified, Reeves said quietly. Terrified of each other, of what we might become, of enemies we hadn't even met yet. So we built the Titans, ships powerful enough to fight entire fleets alone. Then we realized we were right to be terrified, just not of external enemies. We were terrified of ourselves, of what we'd created. So we locked them away and prayed we'd never need them again. But now we do, Elena finished. Now you do, Reeves agreed. The question is, Captain, are you prepared for what comes next? Because once we fire the Helios array, once we show the Kryn what humanity is truly capable of, there's no going back. We become what we always feared we might be. Monsters who can burn worlds. Elena thought of Earth, burning under Kryn bombardment. She thought of New Seattle, of her daughter Sophie, of the billions who had died because humanity had chosen peace over preparedness. She thought of the 217 crew members aboard the dying Defiance, warriors who deserved to see their enemy bleed. "I'm not afraid of being a monster," Elena said. "Not if it means humanity survives." The Kryn wanted to erase us from existence. Let's show them why that was a mistake. 20 minutes later, the Kryn fleet dropped out of warp, their sensors immediately locking onto the Prometheus. They had expected to find a crippled destroyer and terrified survivors. Instead, they found a titan of war, fully powered and waiting. The lead Kryn battlecruiser transmitted in their clicking, hissing language. Artemis translated, "Human vessel, you are surrounded. Surrender, and we will make your extinction swift." Elena sat in the captain's chair of the Prometheus. Reeves at tactical, Wu at navigation, and her crew from the Defiance integrated among the awakened veterans. The bridge hummed with power, every system operating at peak efficiency. "Artemis," Elena said calmly, "show them what humanity sounds like when we say no." The Helios array fired. The nearby star dimmed perceptibly as the Prometheus drew upon its fusion heart, channeling stellar fire into a beam of pure destruction. The weapon cut through space like God's own sword, a lance of light so bright it could be seen from parsecs away. It struck the Kryn formation dead center. 15 battlecruisers simply ceased to exist, vaporized in an instant. The blast wave caught the others, tearing through shields and armor like paper. Ships tumbled away, burning and broken. The remaining Kryn vessels scattered in panic, something Elena had never seen them do before. They were afraid. Finally, after years of being hunted, humanity had made its enemies feel fear. "All weapons, fire at will," Elena commanded. "Don't let any of them escape." The Prometheus unleashed hell. Missile batteries that could level continents spoke with thunder. Rail guns that could punch through moons fired in perfect harmony. Plasma cannons that ran on fusion reactors painted space with deadly light. The Kryn tried to fight back, tried to coordinate, but they were facing something they had never encountered before. Humanity at its most dangerous, wounded and vengeful, and utterly without mercy. In 12 minutes, it was over. 30 Kryn battlecruisers reduced to expanding clouds of debris. Not a single human casualty. Elena sat back in her chair, feeling the weight of what they had just done. They had crossed a line, unleashed weapons that should have stayed buried. But they had also survived. Humanity had survived. "Artemis," she said quietly, "plot a course for the Kryn core territories. Begin awakening the rest of the crew." "Captain?" Wu asked, uncertainty in his voice. "What are you planning?" Elena stood, looking out at the stars that had become humanity's graveyard. "The Kryn wanted to extinct us. They came to our worlds, burned our cities, killed our children. They thought we were weak because we chose peace." She turned to face her crew, saw the same determination reflected in every face. "We're going to teach them the truth. We didn't choose peace because we were weak. We chose peace because we knew what we were capable of in war. Now they've forced our hand." Reeves smiled that cold smile again. "You want to take the fight to them." "I want to make sure they never threaten humanity again," Elena corrected. "I want them to remember us for the next 1,000 years. I want them to tell stories of the day they woke the Prometheus and learn that humanity doesn't fight for territory or resources. We fight for survival. And when humans fight for survival, we don't stop until our enemy can never threaten us again." The Prometheus turned, its massive engines building power. Across the ship, Crew members emerged from stasis, warriors from humanity's darkest age, ready to fight in its darkest hour. They had slept through peace, awakened to war, and found themselves exactly where they belonged. Behind them, the Defiance floated in space, her systems finally giving out, her crew evacuated to safety. She had brought humanity's last hope to the one weapon that could save them. Now she could rest. The Prometheus engaged her warp drive and vanished into the stars, carrying with her humanity's rage and humanity's promise. The Kryn had thought they were extincting a weak species. Instead, they had awakened something far more dangerous. Humans, who had nothing left to lose and everything to fight for. The war was not over. It was just beginning. And this time, humanity would not be the prey. Asterisk.